Hello, M.
Hi,
Wrong video. Let's try again.
I'm dark as.
Let me try again. Hello. That's what he said. Hello.
Hi. How we
you
doing?
are.
How we doing, bro?
You're less black now.
Yeah, I was a bit dark then. Forgot to turn my light on.
Yeah, we were having a bit of technical issues there. Welcome back to myself.
Yeah, well, you were by yourself earlier this week. Good video with the review.
Yeah, Wonder Woman, it sucks, but go out and watch it.
And if you don't want to watch it, at least watch Fighter's reviews and give us more likes and more follows, man.
That's it.
And subscribes.
But if you do go and watch it, go and watch it so you lose your money and at least HBO won't hate me in the future. Inan's not here today, Em.
No.
It's a bit sad. So after his video from last week, there's been a bit of an issue regarding him and the government. So the government's actually kidnapped him, and we no longer know where Inan is. Now moving forward, Emin will take over from the conspiracy.
Yeah, bro, I'll fucking smash him, cuz I'll bash him, bro. Nah, bro. Children can't be heroes. Nah, bro.
Nah, what I heard is actually he couldn't find his way here because of his exposure to aluminium. He's got Alzheimer's, so
Okay.
he forgot who he is.
Mhm.
He's just doing some self-discovery. Hopefully he'll be back next week with half as many brain cells. What's that leave him? 2?
2.5 probably.
Yeah.
If he's got Alzheimer's, he'll probably be on his way to Orange, so we'll pick up from Orange.
Done.
Speaking of stuffed up brains, I don't know how we're going to connect that. Coronavirus again, unfortunately. It's peaking up again in Australia, and it sucks now because Brisbane went into they're going to go into a 3-day lockdown for pretty much the entire weekend, and it's all got to do with the UK strain that's come through from UK.
Yeah, yeah. Look, linking it up with the rest of the world, I think Europe has closed its borders to UK travellers because of this strain of the virus. So we're not the only ones hit, but yeah, it's definitely making its way over here. Look, this is not something new. I think countries in Europe shut their borders for UK people coming in over a week ago, 10 days ago. Why did it take us so long to realize, hey man, there's a new thing coming? Why are we letting people come in from the UK anyway?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've been trying to figure out, because it's more along the lines of, okay, we knew all this stuff was happening. We didn't take an effect until it took us nearly, like you said, maybe 7 to 11 days to figure out what to do. But in the meantime, we were punishing everyone that was here. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I get that. See, in New South Wales, that is, we had that whole Borelli incident with the BWS.
Mm-hmm.
And then that person obviously went across the road into Woolies. We had the Northern Beaches problem. And it just seemed to just spread out massively since then.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we have that Queensland border being closed because of the UK strain. And they've gone into full lockdown, like proper lockdown, where there was photos from Woolies and Coles where people are lining up because it's just pretty much, I don't have grocery, or the people that don't have what they need to toilet paper especially, and aluminium foil. Trust me. It's those people that don't have those necessities that's going to suffer the most.
Yeah.
So it's just funny that we chose to punish everyone beforehand rather than just going, you know what, okay, I get it that the international travelers bring in tourism or as much tourism as possibly can come in to the country, considering the state that we're in, but it should have been done earlier.
Yeah, look, clarification from your end, Fats. What do you mean by punishing the people who were in Australia until this happened?
Well, with New South Wales, we have that whole full-on face mask mandatory in all public areas, and there was a reduction in, say, in religious places or public events. They even were they even reduced the amount of people at the SCG for the cricket and all that type of stuff. Now, this goes across the board. I think weddings is also down again.
To 100, I think.
And funerals is down again. And then now restaurants are being hit. So, like, it's just... The rules... I'm trying to word this in a way where we don't get banned.
I like where you're going with this, because I was actually going to give an example, especially of the face masks, that it's like
double-edged
double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's different expectations and different things in different. Like the new law that they brought out with the face masks is an indoor thing, from what I know. So you got to be wearing face masks in indoors. But then I was at Bunnings the other day, and I was getting like supplies that I needed at home. And I saw people who were inside, and as soon as they walk out the exit doors, face mask off, and they're having a conversation in the parking lot, and there's about 10 people standing around within 30 centimeters of each other, having a conversation, like almost the same amount of people as you have at a wedding with no face masks on. So,
no, I agree with you, man, because even just to hit on some of those points there as well, you have restaurants. So it's like, okay, you're allowed to go to a restaurant and have, say, 10, 20 people? I think 20 people is max at the moment, but you can't have 20 people in your own house. So the same people that you would probably go to the restaurant with, you can't have in your own household, even though you're going to potentially infect more people around you than having 20 people in your own home.
and it's where your home is a private space, your restaurant is a public space. So if what we're hearing from these scientists is true, that this bacteria can live on certain things for like 4-6 hours, you're definitely putting people more at danger by eating at a restaurant than eating at home, because when they leave, no one's really coming back in for the next 6 hours or whatever it is anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. They had a cabinet meeting today, and they're going to reduce the amount of international travelers and all that type of things. But it's like, where do you go from here? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, to what extent do you go with this whole masks issue? Now, it didn't help that, and I think this is where a lot of the people were a bit frustrated with as well. So the New South Wales Premier, which is Gladys Berejiklian, I didn't want to stuff her name up, she set the rules out, then went on holiday. I think that was sort of like, okay, you guys deal with this, and I'll be back. Which sort of didn't help the case. Like, I understand it happened in Victoria, but the Premier was not there to make the rules. There's an acting Premier that's currently doing everything whilst Dan Andrews is on holiday. That didn't help. And then you had the whole cluster of, how can I, it's, see what I mean? It's that stuffed up where I don't know how to like speak about it. It's come to that point where we've dealt with it for a full year. I don't know why suddenly people decided that it was going to be a sudden fix in 2021, where apparently like we're just going to hit a reset button or something like that. But if it keeps getting worse, do we just go backwards rather than dealing with it? Do you know what I mean? Like, rather than going, okay, so how do we make it better? Like, instead of telling people, and this is where I still agree with Joe Rogan, like when he originally was in June or July when he was talking about it as well. Instead of telling people, okay, wear masks, avoid people, avoid do this, and confusing the shit out of people because there's two different sets of laws, how come we're not telling people how to strengthen their immune system, how to make themselves healthier, because at the end of the day, it's what it is. It's a stronger case of the flu. That's generally what it is. It affects your immune system. So what do? We try to improve our immune system. Not one sense of article or a push from a health perspective or anything like that is coming from that angle.
Yeah.
So it's more like, oh, if you're going to get this, wear the mask.
Yeah.
Okay, so the people that don't wear the mask, then what happens? Okay, because I was in some of the shopping centers, okay, and I had the mask on because I don't really want to find. But there's people out there that don't wear it.
Yeah.
And there's really no one enforcing it. You had two people at IKEA, I think it was, two ladies, and then they were going head to head pretty much with the employees that were there. They said, I don't wear a mask, and it says that on their website. If you're exempt from wearing a mask, you don't have to wear a mask. And they're saying that they're exempt. So, and you can't necessarily ask them, why are you exempt? Because it's got nothing to do with the employee.
And it's confidentiality as well.
That's right. It's confidentiality. So who's there to enforce it? It's not Westfield. Like, I'll give you an example. It's not Westfields or Stocklands or the shopping centers themselves. It's police enforcement at the end of the day.
But like we discovered last week, it was a shock to Inan and I, that was like 14,000 police in the New South Wales police force. You can't put 14,000. You can't put a police officer in every shopping center to make sure that everyone's wearing their masks.
Exactly. And not only that, like when people see police officers or something like that, what are they going to do?
Put their mask on.
Put their mask on or turn the other way. You're not going to be chasing. You're not going to have like 6-7 officers chasing two people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then it comes down to that. When these guys walk into a shopping center or they come into a store like that and have altercation with the employees, it's going to be a brand versus media's problem.
Yeah.
I don't know if I made that very clear or not. So in that example, it was IKEA. Okay. If the IKEA employees start to enforce it, this is going to look either extremely bad on IKEA or extremely good on IKEA.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be, because you have pretty much, in my personal opinion, a 50-50 split. So you're going to have people that are going to hate you for it because it's not the company's position to do so. And then you're going to have people that are going to love you for it because
you're keeping them safe.
You're keeping them safe. So which sword do you fall on?
It's the same thing that we discussed early in the year with the flights and the airlines. Do you let people go on, or do you not let them go on, because you're going to be losing and gaining some from different places? So, but there was that extreme. I think the way that I discovered, before off air, that there's like this double-edged sword, is that whole incident about the train in Lidcombe with the fatality on the train. Yeah. And look, at first, I didn't know where Fatih was going with the conversation when we were having this off air, but he showed a scene of Lidcombe station where a bunch of people were obviously angry because they've been waiting a long time on the train station for their train to come, but there was a fatality.
There was a fatality on the line.
That's right. And what were they all crammed into one bus? And all of a sudden, like, COVID doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. And who's there to go, okay, you know what? I get it that because we know Lidcombe station is not necessarily the quietest station. They're extremely busy, and this was around peak period as well. So what happens is you got to organize alternative bus routes. You got to organize people to move in certain directions. How many people work at Lidcombe station that's gonna do that to what? Nearly 1,000 people, 2,000 people. You're looking at maybe 10 people max that's working at the time. By the time the police get there, by the time everything gets there, and then what? Then a week from now, we're gonna hear Lidcombe train station clusterfuck.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's none of that. Then you have the SCG. Okay, you have 20,000 people at the game, and then they said you got to cut it in half, and then you got to do this, and you got to sell keep your 1.5 meter social distancing. It's like, okay, so then what? Do you know what I mean? It's like you're allowing that to go ahead. You're allowing nearly 10,000 people, or let's just give an example. Let me even just say 5,000 people. You're allowing 5,000 people just to get together for a sporting event. Why? Because it's going to bring in money. It's what you do, in those times of period and stuff like that. But everything else has to suffer. Your barbers suffer. Your salons suffer. Your nail place. Your actual proper businesses are going to suffer. But when it comes to something like the SCG, that's fine.
Yeah, look, even with that example in itself, it's not like when everyone's leaving the stadium, they let them out like, okay, you four, go out. Okay, wait 5 minutes, go. Bro, 5,000 people go through one gate.
Yeah, that's it. And that happens everywhere. Like, we go, we need to start worrying about, how we eat and how many people go into a business, 15 people within to a business and stuff like that. Okay, so what about all the stuff that people touch in Woolworths and in Coles? Or you go and test clothes out. Changing dressing rooms are still on. Yeah. Like, they're still working. Okay, so what happens then?
Well, that's the thing. Like, you can't hit one side of it and then not cover the complete. It just becomes hypocritical because at some point, the rules don't make sense anymore.
Yeah. I agree. It really... to be honest, it was from the beginning. Do you remember when the first set of rules came out and it was... you could do such and such and such, and then barbers is okay. Or barbers was okay, but you couldn't go and get your nails done, or you couldn't go and eat food properly, or you couldn't go do this. But it's like, okay, this guy's doing main contact. Now, again, it's not a shot at people's businesses. Yeah. It's more a shot at the people who are making the rules.
Yeah.
It's whoever's deciding it, in my opinion, they got no idea. It's working in people's favoritism.
Yeah, and we said it from the start, like, they're completely winging this. Like, they come up with a rule and then they're like... And the thing that's annoying as now, like, an Australian citizen, Australian resident, is that I have to constantly keep myself up to date with the laws that are changing. Like, I didn't find out that the masks were coming in until the night before that it came in, right? Like, I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it's become mandatory now to walk around with, I don't know, like a helmet on. You know what I mean? Like, I got to constantly follow the news and blah, blah. And we all have busy lifestyles. And I understand, like, at a time when I'm going to work, I'm listening to the radio, I'm getting the news, I hear from other people that I'm working with. At the moment, I'm on holidays. I don't really see anyone. I'm not allowed to be going out anyway, so I've got to, like, go through my phone every day and be like, oh, okay, tomorrow I've got to wear a helmet when I'm going out.
Yeah, no, I get you. Where it's more just tackle as it's going sort of scenario for you.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it is like that. Look at the cluster problem that they have in Queensland.
Yeah.
Everyone just suddenly rushed to Woolworths and Coles and stuff like that. And then now what's gonna happen?
And look, Inan's not here, but I'll be him. Suck shit. Because you're the first to close your borders on everyone else. Like, someone farts in New South Wales, like, nah, we're not having anyone from New South Wales anymore, you know. Now you deal with it, because now it's become a massive problem here. And this isn't a shot at Queenslanders specifically. It's more for the politicians. It's just like, I feel like there was this whole thing of, oh, you know, New South Wales and Victoria, stay away from us. But then you want to take people in from England. It just doesn't make sense, the laws that you're setting as a state.
Yeah, especially if you knew that such a strain existed, and you're going to come to a point where it's like, okay, that strain exists, but we're still going to let people in, regardless of what happens.
Yep.
I don't know, man. Hey, look, you could be worse. You could be the US currently. Their capital's absolutely fucked.
But it has been from the start. You know how we've had these waves in Australia? It's like, we've had 3 days with no cases. Like, they celebrate when less than 1 million people die a day. Like,
yeah, I know.
It's ridiculous.
And now look at all the problems that they're having in the US actual capital, where they had the pro-Trump supporters actually rush into to pretty much their Senate and the actual US Capitol, if that makes sense, and pretty much took over it.
Yeah.
We're talking, what are we talking about? So they're roughly saying 1 million people, roughly. But you know what's funny? And I came across an article, I think it was an article or a TikTok video, unfortunately. And it was like, you spend that much in defense money. You spend, what is it? They spend nearly $500 billion in defense. And it took a bunch of people to literally take over your US capital.
Yeah.
Like, look at that. Like, you're spending all that money to defend yourself from people, and they literally just overcrowded you.
Yeah, I'd love to see a breakdown of that defense budget and how much money is spent onshore and how much it's spent offshore. Because
100% offshore.
The defense for America's the weirdest country in the world, right? Like, if you're playing football, let's put this in language that we can understand. Whether you're playing rugby league or soccer, whatever you want to call it, football, when you're defending, you're usually defending on your own side.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you're like trying to get the ball in their half. They defend from the other side. So like, hey, you want to kill me? I'm going to stand in your front yard and make sure you don't come to me. Like, it's just such a stupid thing.
But, and I agree with you from that sense. And you know what's funny now? If this was happening in another country, the US would be like, it's time to bring some freedom to that country. It's literally that, where the people are or I shouldn't say the people. It seems like it's just a certain part of the people.
A minority.
Is it a minority?
It's not the majority of the country, but
it's not majority. Definitely not majority, but I wouldn't say it's a minority.
Yeah.
If it's, let's just say 10 million. I'm just giving a shit number here. That's what, 3% of the country?
Yeah.
But we got these types of people who are causing this much issue in a country for a president who's not yet in charge.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine once Biden actually moves into office, which is, we'll get to it with the Simpsons predictions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's just funny that if this was happening in another country, they would invade them.
Yep.
They would cause civil unrest. They would cause massive problems. There'll be media after media after media. And a lot of people had a shot at Fox News. Now, again, Fox News is not necessarily the greatest media company in the world.
They're the most reliable. Not.
It took them that long to come out and actually brandish these guys as terrorists. Now, in their videos, what they were saying was it was funny. Like, again, I don't condone it. I personally think that what happened in the Black Lives Matter was absolute bullshit as well, where you can go and vandalize stores and it was all good because you were standing up for standing up for a cause. You know, Louis Vuitton, Nike, they didn't really give a shit. But now these guys are doing something similar, and they're straight away brandished as, you know, not brandished. They're brandished as peaceful protesters.
Yeah.
You know, Fox News. They label those guys as vandalists and pretty much almost terrorists. But these guys, there was a sentence that I saw. It was just funny of what the presenter on Fox News was saying. It was, there's been no vandalism by these protesters besides breaking into the Senate.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it's something small, you know. It's just U.S. Congress. Don't worry about that. It's not Louis Vuitton. It's not Nike, man. Come on, this is just U.S. Congress. Who gives a shit about U.S. Congress?
Yeah.
And then there was the video where the guy stole the the speaker stand from the actual, like, where they do the congressional speeches and stuff like that. And it was on, I think it was on Gumtree for like 90 grand, or their equivalent on Gumtree.
What a legend! Well, look, what's the motive behind going into into the Capitol and stuff like? What was behind this? Are they trying to kill someone? Are they trying to because when you start to ask these questions, the law they're breaking, or the how can I say it? Their offense, does it align with treason? Because treason's the worst crime that you can commit. If your idea of busting into that place was to get rid of someone, kill someone, cause damage, then these people should be heavily penalized.
So what the problem is? Okay, so you got two sides to this. You got the Democrats, or let's say the people that support Biden. I'll say it like that. They believe that the election happened, Biden won. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
He'll move into office, what is it, January 20th or 21st or something like that. He'll go there, he'll get inaugurated, and then pretty much move on. Then you have the other side who don't believe that the election was won or fair, or even that it was, what's the key word I'm looking for?
Fixed, rigged.
Fixed. They believe that it was fixed, okay? And that they believe that the election shouldn't count, and that there should be proper recounts, even though there's been multiple recounts. And again, whether they believe do you know what I mean? There's so many ifs and buts to this, where it's do a recount. We did, you lost. Do another one. You did, you lost. Oh, I don't believe your recounts.
So all these people have to write their name on a list. They're going to be called in individually, count all the votes themselves. It's never going to happen. It's
never going to happen. The result that they're after is not going to happen.
But look, the root of all this problem, okay, is, in my opinion, Trump. Why? Look, I'm not anti-Trump or a Trump thing, but if he came out straight away and said, I want to recount, I'm going to take this to court, if it was, say in Australia, right, Turnbull loses to the opposition leader, for example, right, he's not going, I want to recount, I want my people to, stand up for their rights, you get me back in power. It's just okay, I'm done, okay, I'm moving on. You know what I mean? Who's Trump for? The Republicans. The Republican Party needs to just get their shit together and be all right, Trump, you're done. We're either going to re-elect you as our leader, or we're going to find somebody else, but we need to move on from this. But if you're just fueling the fire in a way, these people acting like this, these extremists, if you like, is quite normal, because they're getting fueled, like I said, from Trump's remarks, his tweets, his response to the whole thing right from the start.
Oh yeah, when he said that he won't concede, or it was pretty much downhill when he started to say he won in certain states when the voting or the count wasn't finalized yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's been downhill ever since. But look, again, with that country's in all sorts of trouble at the moment, because even when Trump moves out, which he did come out and say that there will be recently, that there will be a peace or a proper changeover, if that makes sense. He got banned off Facebook. I think he got banned off Twitter. I could be wrong about that one, but I know Facebook definitely banned him, which, in my personal opinion, is another massive problem, because if that man, what gives Facebook the right to ban him based on what he wants to say as a freedom of speech?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know what I mean? That's another category itself. But with all these issues, again, you had a woman die there now. That woman's actually been... There was a woman that got shot by the police officer when they were trying to break in, or while she was already in there. And now she's been hailed as pretty much a hero by her part, and then she's been labeled as a terrorist by the other people, and she's getting mocked online. So it's this is going to lead in to 2021. There's every little thing that's going to happen is going to be about this. And moving on to the one of our funny topics, or fun, I should say more controversial as well, is The Simpsons. So they had the video of Homer Simpson sitting on his roof, and pretty much all of America is pretty much destroyed around him. And it's another future prediction there.
Is it?
Well, by the looks of it, look, what are we on?
If on January 21, if there's not some guy with yellow skin sitting on his roof and the whole world's burning, then it's not a prediction. But it does align with when Biden takes over, right?
It does, because that's the inaugural day.
Yeah.
Now, Simpsons have been known to predict shit in the past. Okay,
Mhm.
we had that Donald Trump one where he was going down the escalators and everything aligned, whether it was the kid, the balloon, where he was standing, everything just in line.
Mm-hmm.
Then we also have their FaceTime where they predict the FaceTime and the smartwatch, and what else do we have here? The GoPro, the faulty voting machines, and all that type of stuff. And then it's like, well, what more can Simpsons predict really? Like, it's actually pretty freaky. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's two sides to this. One, Matt Groening's either traveling to the future and figuring it out and coming back and making money off it,
Which, in my opinion, is the most likely.
which is scientifically it's the most likely. Or the show's been around for 30 years. Okay, there is so many probabilities that they could write about this, and mind you, they're not like I don't even know how many episodes that they're on, but 30 years worth of episodes is a lot. Now I get, like, when they predict the FaceTime. Don't get me wrong. Back in the 70s and 80s, my mum was telling us, there's going to be, not telling me in the 70s, but she's like, back in the 70s, we were being heard that we could speak to someone and we're going to see someone from overseas and they're going to build some chat. So it always existed, but Simpsons just made it mainstream.
Mhm.
Even the smartwatch. You had TV shows, you had Get Smart, you had all those other shows that, they had those smart gadgets and stuff like that. Now, whether it's coming down to, Milhouse predicting the Nobel Prize winner,
Mm-hmm.
fair enough. That's
Mhm.
where you can sort of go, okay, fair enough. Or the Donald Trump incident. And now we have this Homer Simpson potentially being correct, because I don't see this going away anytime soon. So what do you reckon? Do you reckon these guys are traveling to the future? Is Simpsons just pretty much predicting or writing our lives?
Look, I was going to say what you said about, 30 years of episodes. When I try and think of something that Simpsons hasn't done, there's not many things. You know what I mean? Like, there's something in some episode, in some season, where they do that thing. And I agree with you. Even though they haven't made a phone that, like, a shoe that can make phone calls yet, a lot of that stuff is foreseeable. For example, there was one with a GoPro where they put, like, a camera inside, Homer's
When he
hat.
was walking to the Quickie Mart, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, spy movies and stuff like that came up with that stuff a long, long time ago. Those things are possible. The Nobel Prize, I'm not going to think that one's freaky, but there's things like, for example, there's one where Lady Gaga sings at a Super Bowl at a certain year. Look, if I was someone who was higher up in the organization of Super Bowl, right, and I saw that episode of Simpsons, I'd be like, hey, man, wouldn't it be funny if we got Lady Gaga to do it this year? You know what I mean? Like, it could influence the organization of stuff like that. Where it freaks me out is one, the Donald Trump thing, because, yeah, man, he can go on an escalator at any time, blah, blah, but the balloons aren't going to meet up. The people in the background's not going to meet up. The amount of coincidences there is a little bit scary. The other thing is, like, these tragic events. 9/11 was predicted way before it happened. Like, it wasn't just like a terrorist attack's going to happen. You can actually see the World Trade Centers in that thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was something about the Boston bombings and stuff like that. There was some sort of, like, I don't know if it's correct, if I misremember it, but there was something like that. Those things are the ones that make me go, what is going on?
Well, I don't remember the Boston bombing one. I could be wrong. Like, I don't remember seeing that. I'm pretty sure it'll be in all over media right now. And the tinfoil hat's going on, guys. That's it. Shit's going down real. But I think, look, there's massive ones here because you got the Ebola outbreak.
There's Ebola as well.
That was the one where I think she was giving the book to Marge was giving the book to Bart, and it had the Ebola thing on it. And I was like, okay, fair enough. And that was before the Ebola outbreak. Disney buying Fox. That's enough a massive one. I think it's just more along the lines of probability. I can't see this being as a future prediction. I personally am not one of the believers where time travel is possible. I believe you can travel into the future, not to the back though. Not to the past, not to the back. To the past. Okay. I believe that you possibly could, regarding using time, regarding using space. Yes, you can lose time whilst in space to come back and time has changed, but you can't necessarily click a button and be like, okay, I want to go to 1968.
14, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just my view on it. So I think it's just more, it's just a conspiracy in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to head to is like, are these big things that happen then planned? If we want to go down that tinfoil conspiracy road, do you see like, okay, 9/11 was a planned thing that happened? Because there's all this talk about 9/11 is an inside job. Blah, blah. Whether I believe it or not, I'm not going to think. But can these events then be, planned? Was it, I don't know, planned after the episode of Simpsons came out? Because look, when I think of Disney taking over Fox, if I was going to tease the network that I work for, I'd probably make an episode like that. Like, for example, if I was working for McDonald's, I'd say like KFC bought out McDonald's. If it doesn't happen, it's not something that stays in the memories of people too long. But if it happens, it's when it's like, dude, this happened on Simpsons like 14 years ago. Do you remember? You know what I mean? So there are a lot of those. If you watch Simpsons, a lot of random stuff happens, and sometimes it just clicks.
Yeah.
But I can't help but ask that these big events like 9/11 changed the world, right? Certain things like, obviously, Trump taking over changed the world. Are these then planned? And has Matt Groening or whoever's on the executive staff of The Simpsons got connections to people who are planning these things years in advance?
I don't know. There you go.
You just don't know, but it's definitely interesting, and more stuff's gonna pop up as the years go on.
Oh yeah,
Like,
100%.
They predicted that like Apul was gonna be working in convenience stores, and people of his cultural background everywhere do, but then other cultural backgrounds work in convenience stores too.
Yeah. You had Siegfried and Roy, their Tiger issue. You had the NSA listening to us. Well, that was in the Simpsons movie. I don't know. Look, I personally just believe this is all coincidence. Whether we start to import Simpsons into our history books and say, well, Simpsons are the global leaders of the world. I don't think so, but I definitely will not. I have to be fair. I haven't watched the Simpsons episode in a long time.
Same. Like I used to watch it on when it was on, like at 6 o'clock or whatever,
Yeah.
like before the news or whatever it was,
Yeah,
or
it was
after
after
the
the
news.
news,
Yeah,
yeah.
after the news. That's when I used to watch it when it was on. I haven't watched Simpsons in so many years. It's not something that I watched very, very closely as well. Like I sort of got into South Park later in my life and stuff like that. But it's just interesting that South Park has a lot of episodes as well, but we don't talk about the coincidences in South Park as much as we do with Simpsons. So just interesting. Let us know what you guys think in the comments and stuff, and we can have a discussion about this.
Yeah, 100%. I think South Park's a bit more different though, because South Park has a lot more adult-orientated content and humor. It's less to be published on public media, not public media, on mainstream media.
Also, they play more on parody, so they make fun of existing things. So,
yeah. Speaking about existing things, Elon Musk, who I believe is an alien.
He's existing, but
He's existing. Richest man in the world, man.
mm-hmm.
He overtaked Jeff Bezos, apparently. Can you imagine having that much money, but imagine, like, let's just put on the bat, like, they're worth trillions. Regarding the actual worth and value, whether it comes to Amazon for Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk for Tesla, worth is billion. I reckon at least $1 trillion. At least $1 trillion. What would you even do if you even had $100 billion? Do you know what I mean? Like, what could you possibly waste your money on and run a company like Tesla or Amazon?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember there was on the internet somewhere, there was a spend Bill Gates's wealth, and you can actually just add random shit into your cart and stuff like that, just for shits and giggles. And I remember some woman using that tool, and they ended up buying the entire NFL, the entire NHL, buying like jet after jet after Ferrari after Ferrari, and they still had like $50 billion to spend.
Let's do some math here, right? If you had $1 million, this is just $1 million. Look, I don't have that much, but if you put it into like a savings thing where they give you, let's say, 3%, right, which is like pretty low, you're making $30,000 a year just off the interest you're making off that money, right? So make that 100 million. What is that? 3,000 times 100. You're making 300,000 just off interest. These guys have way more than that. They're investing this way more. Dude, if you bought a house, that money's pretty much replenished in the next couple of seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Right? There used to be those jokes like, oh, Bill Gates goes to the toilet, and by the time he wipes his butt, he's made like so-and-so $1 million. Where do you go? Dude, I've got enough now. Like, I've got more to spend than I could ever do in my lifetime, my kids could ever do in their lifetime, their kids could, like, you're set up forever. why do you keep doing it? Is the question that I ask. Like, to be on the front line for Elon Musk, for example, to be on the front line of Tesla, to be the face that goes with Tesla, there's got to be a certain amount of stress that comes with this.
Oh, 100%.
So if you've got enough money to be comfortable, okay, you're bored and you need a job, do something less stressful. You know what I mean? Where do you come to a point and be like, this is enough, I'm done? What drives these people to keep going?
See, I think for us, this conversation goes in a different way to what they think of. So we're thinking about the money. Now, if we think of, again, I'm not thinking like Elon Musk. I think the guy is an absolute genius.
Weirdo too.
I think all geniuses come with that type of social interaction. But when it comes to just say Elon itself, I think he's more, because on his latest on his latest talk with Joe Rogan, he had this second podcast with him. He was selling all of his materials. He didn't care. Like, I think his attached to money and wealth is not there. I think his attachment to his company on improving it is what's driving him.
Okay.
Because if we look at Tesla, now again, I think Tesla and Amazon are two separately driven,
Different markets.
There's a word that I'm looking for. It's a different type of, anyway, it'll come to me. With Tesla, the guy is trying to make cars electric. You know what I mean? He's tackling a completely different type of angle here, where you have companies like Ford and Ferrari and, you know, your Mazdas and all that type of stuff who are constantly trying to target petrol emissions and all those types of issues that's coming into the environment, and that's another topic. While he's going more along the lines of, I can build exactly what you're doing a lot better and pretty much do this with the car. And I want to start doing the truck that they're creating, and I want to start doing even some long haul trucks that they're trying to create and all that. So I think the drive to upset the automotive industry is what's going for him.
Is there a drive to better the environment for him?
It could be, but we also got to keep this in mind, okay? And this is where my argument comes for electric cars, okay? Electric cars use electric charging points. Where does the electric charging points get their power from?
In Australia, mainly coal and
that's right.
fossil fuel.
Now, I get it if the future is solar, which would be amazing. I get that. And Australia should be, in my opinion, trying to push for more solar. But because we privatize all of our companies, we don't give a shit.
Also coming from an electrical background, is that how much you produce using solar is so little compared to how much you produce with coal or like other forms.
150% correct. But like, when it came down to, what was it? When Elon Musk made a bet with the South Australian government saying that in 90 days I can solve the electrical crisis. He did it with all of his Tesla solar batteries, and he built a massive solar battery farm. So he said to them, if I can't do it in 90 days, I'll give it to you for free. If I do it in the 90 days, you got to pay me.
How much land did this take up?
That you would have to look up.
So I think where it comes into is like relative to size, you get more production out of fossil fuels
100%.
than you do. And also aesthetically, to have solar farms, you have like kilometers and kilometers of ugly looking glass on the side of the road, whereas you can just put your coal power plant or whatever in a remote area where not many people see it to get the same effect sort of thing. So I think that's where, I am not saying that we should be using coal. I think this is where the debate comes into of why we don't use it.
In my personal opinion, I think it's because we don't want to upset the electrical or the power people.
There's definitely that as well.
That's my main one. With Australia, I think Australia has plenty of land that we can utilize this. I mean, we have pretty much the center of the country that receives is pretty much one of the hottest places that possibly can be, and constantly receives sunlight throughout it. That if we possibly could build something where it's like, yeah, we pay for it now, but in 10 years time, it's like, holy crap, look what we've created. I think it's possible.
But in the center of Australia, you also have the whole indigenous land rights and stuff like that.
150%.
So there's, just like everything, when you solve one thing, it's like another problem in there.
Exactly right.
But in Australia, we're covered by ocean. You go with hydro, or like you go with I can't remember now, but the one that the waves make the electricity, or the currents in the ocean make the electricity. It's hidden underwater, except for like small parts that are coming out. We have an unlimited amount of ocean around us. It's clean. that's where you start to question and be like, yep, we're looking after these, electricity supplying companies.
100%. Totally agree with you. Even in, I think it was LA or it was somewhere, I can't remember. They started to inbuilt roads that when cars drive over it, it was generating power as the cars drove over it. And it was actually feeding into the grid. So the more cars that actually drove on the road, the more power was actually being supplied to the grid. So like, I think there's opportunities. I think there's options for what we can do and what we possibly should be doing or trying to push for. But I think that it's, again, you got coronavirus. So I'm guessing that's everything else is shelved. But for the future, I'm guessing. But coming back to what Elon Musk, see, the reason why I like what he's doing is he sort of thinks outside the box. Okay, so you have the whole, I'm not too sure if you're familiar as well, but he's currently building a tunnel for LA. Okay, and it's for the cars to just pretty much just latch on, go straight through the tunnel and end up pretty much avoiding.
Like a conveyor belt?
Pretty much like a conveyor belt. It's going to go down. You drive up to it, you connect, you put your car onto it, it literally launches you to some other part of LA.
Okay.
I think it's like 7 kilometers or something like that, but apparently like that road is like equivalent to Sultanahmet in Istanbul where the traffic's absolute chaos. Do you know what I mean? But you just go under it in itself. So he's built all that. And I think that type of engineering is what's needed. It's sort of thinking outside the box here. Like Australia does not have that, in my personal opinion.
We don't have infrastructure in Australia.
Pretty much.
Look at our roads in Sydney. A guy has an accident in Bondi and there's traffic in Manly. That's how Sydney works. I wish Inam was here from a logistics point of view as a driver. I swear to you, man, there's an accident on Parramatta Road in Burwood and you'll get traffic.
Oh, yeah.
You'll get traffic in Cronulla.
Yeah, 100%. It's like when those, when those mornings that happen when it's like 5-car pile up on the Harbour Bridge. It's like our minds automatically go, okay, Harbour Bridge is stuff. That means city stuff. Anzac Bridge is stuff. That means Anzac Bridge is feeding into 5 docks. So 5 dock, M4's fucked, Para Road's fucked.
And we'll be like, oh, and the tail of that traffic's going to be in Penrith.
Yeah. And they'll be like, okay, so I've got to ride my kangaroo to work today, guys.
That's what we do in Australia.
But for them, it was more like that's what they were trying to avoid, the LA congestion. Here, when we try to build stuff, all we think about is, how do I keep doing this? We never think about doing that.
No.
Ever.
It's like, sorry. Sydney's population has gone up by 2 million in the last 2 years. We were using 2 lanes for 2 million people, so we'll add another 1 lane for the other 2 million people and it'll work.
Yeah. And the M4 is the best example for this. I don't get it. I really don't understand this. The biggest problem about the M4, it's actually one of the most dangerous roads in New South Wales. The one specific exit. It's the Marylands exit. The Marylands entry and the Parramatta exit. Okay?
The Church Street exit?
The Church Street exit. But the Marylands entry.
Yeah, because it pretty much lines up with the Church Street exit.
Correct. So what happens is, and this is where for some reason they said this will be fine, the toll finishes at Church Street, okay? People going off from Maryland's entry have to join into the queue that's going off at Church Street, and you got to merge off doing 0 kilometers
in front of
into
people
LA
doing 90.
Doing fucking 90.
But they've solved this now because they put red lights at all the entries and that goes red, green, yellow, red. It's only 1 car goes through, but it solves all the problems.
Yeah. And then so when I was driving past and there was a 5-car pileup with 1 car on its roof, I wonder what the freaking issue is. It's like, okay, you know what, you make it like that's it. From the Maryland's entry, you can't get off at Parramatta Church Street. Simple as this.
Yeah.
Make it like that. Because in my personal opinion, okay, again, this goes down to our Westerners here. If you're going from Maryland just to get off at that Church Street exit, you're an idiot. Like, that's it, you're an idiot.
Yep.
So why wouldn't you just make that road to begin with to go over
or under?
Just go over. Just for shits and gigs, just go over into its own separate lane.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm not the government. I don't know fuck all.
I want to give you a better example than the M4. Look,
Blow up the M4.
The M4 has been around for a while, right?
M5?
M7.
Oh yeah.
They just built it, and it's 2 fucking lanes.
Yeah.
Why? You You could make that 6 lanes across and not have to change it for the next 50, 100 years.
Do you know what the problem with this is? And I figured this out because as a user of the M7, okay, they don't want people getting to their destination fast. Why? Because that involves improving the whole network. Okay, so think about this. So the M7 starts at Campbelltown. Okay, actually at the exit of the Hume Highway or the entry of the Hume Highway where the M5 is. Okay, and that goes. Let's just say it goes all the way to Blacktown. You can veer left and you can veer right. You make that 4 lanes. There's too many people getting to the M4 too quickly. So what happens?
That's true.
The M4's clogged.
Yeah.
So their punishment is we're going to punish people across the board.
We'll funnel it in.
Yeah, we'll funnel it across the board. So we want everyone equivalently to suffer an hour.
So
we don't
everyone
want
gets
you to
fucked.
suffer an hour. Everyone needs to suffer an hour. Do you know that? That's the way it works.
Yeah.
And that's the mess about, like, when I'm on the M7, I look at it, I'm like 2 lanes, and in the middle, it's just grass. And I guarantee you, whether it's 20 years or 30 years' time, when Badger's Creek is open and more people move out to Campbelltown and more people, where Campbelltown starts to become, you know, your new Kellyville and all that type of stuff, where the roads are absolutely smashed, they're going to go, we need to improve the M7. Let's start spending some more money there.
And that's where it comes into it as well. This might be seen as a bit of a conspiracy, but from what I've heard is the reason why it's made a 2-lane instead of a 4-lane from the start is what happens is they build a 2-lane, right? What happens 5 years later, it gets an upgrade. 5 years later, it gets an upgrade. But by the time they start that upgrade, they haven't finished the end of that motorway, right? It's employment, bro. They're keeping these people employed over 10 years as the M7 or whatever M4 is upgraded, instead of giving them a 3-year job to finish 4 lanes and that's it. At the end of the 3 years, they're unemployed.
That's a good conspiracy, that one.
Right? So they're keeping these people on contract. But think about it. They start the next lane before the last one has finished. Yeah. Especially with the M5. It's an ongoing project for them because it keeps people employed, gets money rotating, and it does well for the economy. So
I actually never thought of it like that, but you do make a valid point on that one. I do. The way that I thought about it as well is it's also election winning promises. You know, we're going to upgrade the M4. Great. Don't get me wrong. The M4 works beautifully when it does. Okay, I get it.
That's because the toll attached to it is so expensive as well.
Like, don't get me wrong. The M4 works, and I'm not the type of person where it's like, oh, there's a 5-car pile up. Why is there traffic? You know, there's some people where it's like, oh, they built so much money into this M4. Why is there traffic? And you look at the signs, like 5 cars on their roofs and stuff like that. I get that. But what I don't like is going onto the M5, okay, where it's still 2-lane, and I know that they're fixing it, but it's so boring. Is that bad that I'm starting to fall into that aspect? Like, you know the new tunnel that they created, the one that connects the M4 to where...
The M5 is? It goes to like the airport area, right?
No, the one that goes to 5 Dock.
Okay.
The one that sort of avoids Parramatta Road.
Yeah,
it's going to eventually be the M5.
Yep.
Yeah, that one. I go in the tunnel. Again, this is my aesthetic kicking in here. It's like, man, it's beautiful. Do you know what I mean? The lights are on and everything. I'm engaged in the tunnel. I jump into the M5. I just want to kill myself.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and mind you, the M5's not a short tunnel.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's going there. I'm like, just sitting. I'm like, when is this shit going to end? And then they stuffed up the end because now everything's a spiral. Yeah. I don't know if you've been on there. I have. It's a spiral now. And like, they really haven't done a proper way of going, okay, you know what? If you want to, the new way to do this is to do this. Yeah. It's just more like, when you get to the end, figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally what it's been. And don't get me wrong, it's not completed, so I get that. So they might add the signs and stuff like that. But at the moment, you're confusing the fuck out of people. And I get it. There's probably less complaints because your airports are shut. Yeah. Or there's less people coming into the country and less people leaving. So I get that. And I don't know, man, like there's so many solutions to this. Instead of an example for me, okay, is the United Arab Emirates. Okay, I get it. Yeah, they're billionaires. Yeah, they have money to spend. I get that. But when they spend money, they do it wisely. Especially when it comes to infrastructure. Like they knew straight off the bat. Okay, we're aiming for tourism in 20 years. Their main road, 6 lanes. Yeah. 6 lanes going, 6 lanes coming. Back. Yep. They knew straight away.
I'll give you a better example than that. Azerbaijan has a population of like way less than Australia. Yeah. So a family friend of ours went there and they've already planned for 6-lane highways and they don't even need it. There's like 1 car on the road. but they've got 6 lanes because they don't want to upgrade it later.
Yeah. Because they're thinking ahead just in case.
And look, Sydney is the worst of all the cities. Like when I go to Melbourne, yeah, there's traffic, but like what people in Melbourne complain about traffic, it's my driveway. Like you haven't got anything. And what Melbourne also does well, and Queensland as well, you know the boring aspect of the tunnels? Bro, they put like one sculpture of this man who's kneeling down and he's got like blue lights on him. And every time he's like, wow, that looks sick. Like, I know I shouldn't be looking at it and looking at the road, but they make it interesting. There's lights.
Yeah.
Like everything's interesting. Whereas, like you said about the M5, bro, have you ever been stuck in there? I was stuck in there for 2 hours once. I wanted to die because I had no aircon in my truck. I couldn't breathe. Like it was just a depressing, horrible place. The new M4 is not too bad. It has like those weird colored lights every 30 meters or whatever it is.
And then just dies away when you reach a certain point.
But yeah, it's still boring as.
Yeah. No, again, look, see what I mean? Like,
they should put a petting zoo in there. Like you can just pat some goats.
Yeah. Netflix. Put Netflix on the walls. You know, fuck it. You know what? When there's traffic, they should just chuck something on it. Like, they should just know that there's a pile up. So it's like everyone's moving at 10 kilometers an hour. So chuck on, you know, Pornhub.
Yeah,
whatever.
Exactly. At 10 frames per second so that you're seeing everything in slow motion. But oh gosh, I was going to say something, but I forgot. The Pornhub just threw me off.
But like when it, again, with the United Arab Emirates, I'm saying that too fast. United Arab Emirates, okay?
The UAE, dude.
They built their roads, okay? And then they said, okay, we need a train station. Here, we'd have the train going over the road, and then the train station connects to, you know, another part of the road where they're going to build one lane that apparently is a one-way street, and it's always the case for some reason. And then they stuff up the whole infrastructure. UAE, see, this is how we feel on the roads. And then UAE, you know what they said? They went, you know what? Instead of fucking everything up,
make it underground.
No, they went smarter. Let's build it above ground. So what happens is people arrive there. You see the train going over highways. It doesn't affect anything. It doesn't affect no one. If there's a problem with the train line, it affects the train line.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
The same thing with subways, man. The benefit, in my opinion, of subways or having it underground is that you don't see it. Whereas having it above ground, like, aesthetically, it won't look as great, in my opinion, anyway. But you get them underground, and I can't remember who I was speaking to about this a few years ago, because you want to solve Sydney's traffic problems. You make subways, all right? Go underground, and that whole railway line that goes around Sydney, you make that your road, right? That space that the train takes up, you make that roads. You're adding extra roads to every suburb in Sydney. And whether it's like you want to put it above ground so that you're going over everything, you're not staying at traffic lights or whatever, is just a smart idea. Bro, every suburb that has a traffic problem, and I'll give you the greatest example, Auburn, all right? It's because of the railway line.
Yeah.
They build 2 bridges and everyone just clogs there.
Yeah. No, I agree. 150% agree. And it just seems like that's the only solutions that they have.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, train line, bridge. And it's like 3 lanes turning right, 1 lane turning left, and it's the one that turns left is the one that everyone uses.
Yeah, and there's some F-wit in the middle lane who's trying to skip ahead of everyone and is trying to go left so no one can go straight as well.
This is great at Western Sydney problems, man. Do you know what I mean? But
definitely.
I'm going to, in my personal opinion, I'm going to hit the nail on the head here. Do you know what the biggest problem is? It's people making decisions. That's what it is. Think about it, and I use the best example here. Badgerys Creek Airport. How long have they been speaking about this?
40 years.
40 years. And now they're stuck at a semi-roadblock as to why some part of the land was overvalued by 10 times when they bought it. So there was a land there that was, how much was it? That was worth around, I think it was $3 million or $30 million, one of those two, okay? They ended up paying 10 times the amount of what it's worth because they believed that the person that owned the land had connections within the people that were, like, within the project management and obviously...
Oh, so it's like an inside trading thing?
They believe that it's an inside trading thing.
Oh, my God.
See what I mean? Like, now we're at that point now. That sort of that story sort of died away, you know, as it usually does. But look how long it took for us just to make a decision about an airport. And not only that, I think it was Tony Abbott who was Prime Minister at the time decided, hey, let's not build a train line to this airport.
Yeah.
So again, look-
people can walk home after they get off a plane.
Yeah, it's like you got these tourists that come up and it's like, what do we do now?
Tumbleweed.
Come on, Olga, let's walk on the Hume Highway. But it's like, okay, you don't build a train line, yeah? All right. You don't build a train line. So what do you expect people to do? Uber? Now, we all know how much it would probably cost from Badgerys Creek to Sydney CBD.
I tell you what, less than a fucking train ticket because you go to the airport on a train. It's like $40 one way.
Exactly. And these people, like, there's so much stupid scenarios that these guys go through. Like, they don't think. We really don't think.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, we're building a new, potentially state-of-the-art airport that we possibly can do to bring more infrastructure out there. And I guarantee you the road to that airport will probably be one lane, one way around like this.
Yeah.
Okay. But we don't think about the future. Like, I applaud the guy that built the Harbour Bridge. I literally applaud him.
Yeah.
For getting
Back then.
for getting ridiculed for making, what was it? Is it 5 and 5 or 6
I
and
think
6?
something like that, yeah.
Like that. They got ridiculed because he was planning for the future.
Yeah.
Here we build 2 lanes and be like, here's the scissors, guys, and cut it open. I've done a good job.
Yep. And then cut the scissors again 3 years later.
Yeah, 3 years later, and then it's election time,
Yep.
and then they win. But
Do you
See,
think
Elon.
we need it? Do you think we need a second airport in Sydney?
I think we need another airport. I don't know.
Is that to split domestic and international, or
I don't think the plan has been revealed, to be honest. I don't think the plan for what's going to happen, if they're going, I think they're going to move domestic bar Qantas
Mhm.
to
Badgery?
Badgerys
Yep.
and keep domestic Qantas and international
International,
at
think.
John Smith International, whatever.
See,
Kingsford.
the question that I ask is like all these countries that have the major stopover zones, right? You go Singapore's, your Abu Dhabi's, Istanbul.
Yeah.
They have one airport. And so many fucking planes land there every year. You want to go from America to Europe? You're going to be stopping there. You want to go from Australia to Europe, from Asia to Europe? You're going to be stopping at one of these destinations, right? And they have one airport. They've just done it really, really well. I understand we're limited for space in, the Kingsford Smith or whatever it's called, right?
Yeah.
In Sydney. But we don't have that many people doing transfers in Sydney. What's our transfers? To transfer to Melbourne, transfer to Brisbane?
Your main transfer is domestic.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think we need one? There's all this big hassle and big money being spent and blah, blah, like a second airport, especially at the moment, no one's flying. I just don't know if we need another airport in Sydney.
The way that I see it, I think we need an airport from a sense of where it's Kingsford Smith, that's right.
Kingsford Smith, yeah.
Where that airport is currently, there's no room for improvement.
No, there isn't.
Okay,
No.
and I get that. So do they do what Turkey did? Yeah, Ataturk Airport, which was the main airport for main international lines, and majority sort of similar to what Sydney has now, or had then, or has now, sorry. And then they built the new state-of-the-art Istanbul airport,
Yeah.
which is absolute gun. What is it, 80 million passengers a year or something like that?
Mhm.
And it's an amazing airport, okay? Very, very big and very easy to get lost in, but massive.
Mhm.
Does New South Wales implement that? Slowly start a transition into a much better airport, a much better facility, planned for the future. That's the key word. Plan for the fucking future, okay? Where they go, you know what? We're not planning for 40 million. Let's plan for 100 million.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, when Australia's population right now is 26 or 25 million, whatever it is, let's plan for it when it's 50 million.
Yeah.
When we build tourism out here, let's build an airport out here so we can attract new entities to come out here. Let's attract a Disneyland to come out here, or a Universal Studios to come out here,
Yeah.
and build it close to the airport so people can engage in all this. Like, look at Changi Airport. Changi Airport's the one in Singapore. They got 4 fucking terminals.
Yeah.
Okay, and I get it.
There's a train inside.
There's a train inside. To that point, okay, and I get it. I get it that they're a changeover, and I get they're a massive airline, and I understand that. But they didn't become that from nothing.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they didn't just decide, hey, we're gonna start building 5 terminals. They went, you know what? 1 terminal, not enough. Okay, let's plan for the future. Let's plan for this. Let's plan for that. Let's add a waterfall into here. There's a reason why a lot of their tourism ventures are close by to the airport because they offer people to leave the airport on a day tours. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if you're there for a day changeover, they allow you to go to what's that? There's a flower place. It's amazing. Or even to go to Universal Studios and stuff like that. Whether that's part of the day pass, I'm not sure. But everything's close by. Like we were staying at the the Changi Hotel, the Crown Plaza inside the airport, and it would probably take us maybe 15 minutes to get to Universal Studios.
Imagine in Sydney, you go to Jamboree, bro. That's like there and back 4 hours.
Man, you're worried about Jamboree. Imagine just getting from Sydney Airport to Greenacre. Don't where you want El Jana or whatever it is.
Look, from the aspect that you're saying, let's say, is it the government building Badgery Creek? Or is it?
Yeah, it's government.
It's government. Say the government says, okay, we're going to use 100 kilometers squared, okay, but we were buying land for 800 kilometers squared.
Yeah.
It's going to stay empty, right? We're going to build this airport. That's 2 times Kingsford Smith. We're going to close Kingsford Smith,
Yeah.
right? This becomes our main airport. The reason why we're doing this, we're trying to limit the traffic that's going into the city during the day, in the morning, at nighttime, whatever. Dude, it will make so much sense to me.
Yeah.
And there you can see the planning that they've bought all this land already, right? And in the future, if they need to upgrade, it's already there and it's ready to go.
But we don't think that far in advance.
Nah.
That's the problem. We don't think where it's like, okay, you know what? Not only let's buy this much land, let's make one highway, one massive highway that comes to the airport and leaves the airport.
And hell, it goes from the airport to Canberra, right?
Because
that's
that's Singapore.
No, to Canberra. You know why? If you're gonna make it that massive, Canberra Airport's not that big, right? It would give people an incentive. People who are, I'm talking about tourists. You come in Australia, what do you want to see? You want to see the Australian Capital Territory, right? It's a tourist attraction.
Yeah.
You land in Sydney, in Badgerys Creek, and you get an hour and a half drive to Canberra. That's like doable. You know what I mean? Like you've got this great highway, 6 lanes. You jump off the airport, get your hire car there. You're in Canberra in an hour and a half, whatever. You come back, you tour Sydney, then you fly back to wherever you need to go. It just makes so much sense. And you know, it also benefits us as residents here because next time we need to go to Canberra or go down south or whatever, we've got that highway already there.
And you know what? On the highway, build a train line. A train line that is adjacent to the highway. A quick train. One train. Okay?
Bullet train.
Bullet train. Or, you know, what I mean by one train, as in like several, like say 2 trains or 3 trains a day.
Yeah.
That goes to Canberra and one's coming back.
Yeah.
That's it. Give an incentive. Look at again, I use Changi Airport as an example because of the incentives that they give to the people. When you arrive in Singapore, and a lot of people don't know this, you can actually go on their website or you can actually approach certain desks and they give you gift cards or they give you vouchers, free entries into certain places. Or they'll come up to you and say, here's 20 Singaporean dollars here. You can go and use it at these places. We don't have that shit.
No.
Here, everything's in. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, you landed in Australia. Okay. You know what? You're doing, you can do a changeover to Brisbane or wherever you want to go. Okay. But in the meantime, if you go to Canberra and enjoy possibly free weed at one point, because they're trying to push that bill through as well. Okay. See what I mean? Like an incentive.
It becomes another Amsterdam.
It becomes an Amsterdam. There's nothing else to do there. But like, it gives them incentives to go there where you got the, what's that? Is it the War Memorial that's over there as well?
Yeah.
You got that. Okay, when you get
Questacon.
there. Yeah. Or you got the Australian government building, whatever it's called. Or build something to give them an incentive to go, like if the NRL approach them. Do you know what I mean? Give them an incentive to go watch a Canberra Raiders game out there.
Yeah.
You know, 50% off if you can provide your flight ticket.
Yeah.
Do you know, like something like that? It gives them an incentive. Make the train ride for free. Like, do you know what I mean? Eat it into your bills for now because you're gonna build up your tourism in your country.
But you know what? My uncle and auntie came here from overseas. We took them to Centrepoint Tower. Is that what it's still called these days? Dude, it was $40 entry per person, right? And that was just like, no, it was more than that. Sorry, it was like $80 from memory. For someone who's coming from another country and the currency plays a big, dude, that is fucking expensive. Like, they're like, that's how much we spend on food for a month.
You know what burns me about the Centrepoint Tower and the fact that they try to make a big deal? It's like, let me go to the top to see buildings that are bigger than me.
Yeah, there's that too.
Do you know what I mean? Like back in, like, fair enough. You go to Dubai and you got the Burj Khalifa, or you go to the Empire State Building, you see the entirety of New York and all that type of stuff. Do you know what I mean? You go to the Centerpoint Tower to look up at Ernst and Young. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no incentive. And then going to a restaurant who sells shitty food, by the way, and overpriced chips, and going there and just start spinning.
Yeah.
Like there's. What is the incentive for this?
And
I wouldn't go there as a tourist myself.
the other thing is as well, when you get to the front where you're paying to go in, they show people walking on the glass and stuff like that. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, we're going to do this. Now you go up there and you pay an extra like $300 to do that.
Yeah, you pay that much money to get attached to a wall to just go, oh, I'm on glass.
Yeah, and I'm on the same view with the Harbour Bridge walk. Look, man, I would love to do it. I ain't paying that much to walk on a bridge.
I got it cheap, so I will gladly say cool.
It was good?
Yeah, because again, I don't understand logic, okay? I could be a fucking retard, you know, in the Alex Jones style. I'm sort of a retard. You know what I mean? Like,
use that word.
but it's more, the normal ticket, I think, is $310.
Something like that, yeah.
It's just for whenever you're going to go. I went during Vivid, okay? During Vivid, they were $190 per person.
Okay.
You would think that Vivid
Would be more expensive.
would be more expensive.
Yeah.
So you can clearly see that during Vivid, where a time where people would go the most, they can offer it for $190.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know what I mean?
Are they marketing this because they've lost too many customers in years to Vivid?
It could be. Oh
Yeah.
no, I think this was Vivid. I think this was the first or the second year that it was on. So
Okay.
it wasn't necessarily like a losing market. They were trying to make the most of what they possibly can.
Mhm.
And it was amazing. I loved it. I loved standing up there. The fact that they had the running man from one building to another. It was amazing. The Opera House looked beautiful. Cold as expected, but it was amazing.
Mhm.
Okay, the stories that you hear on there and everything that they did, how they built it, and you know what you can do up there and like just chill and take photos and etc. etc. It's actually pretty cool.
Mhm.
But it's not worth that price.
No, see, look, for $300, I can go skydiving, and in my opinion, that's 100 times better
100%.
experience
Yeah,
than climbing a bridge.
Totally agree. So if it wasn't $190, so two people is what, $380.
Mhm.
Okay, that's pretty much just
Half price. You paid for one person.
pretty much paying for one person. If that's the case, most people would go. And I get it. You got your British tourists and you got your Asian tourists who probably, yes, they can afford it, but there comes a time where you're not really catering to your own people.
Yeah,
at
you
the
got to
same
stop
time.
fucking us, man.
Yeah, the Asians are killing it. No, I'm kidding. Don't steal my house. But it's just more along the lines of this. Like, there's this country has potential, man. This country has so much potential. It's just we're so bad at like New South Wales being the police state. That's my opinion. Yeah, it's just New South Wales trying to. If we let people have fun, the control starts to go. In Turkey, you can have argile on the beach. You know the shisha. Is that what they call?
Yeah, hookah, shisha,
Hookah
whatever you
for
call
tourists. You can have that on the beach. You can drink on the beach. You can do all that type of stuff on the beach. Here, the moment you start clapping on Bondi Beach, you get arrested and go to jail. You know? Like, where was it? There was an article that came out, and it was someone tried to organize a private beach party on Bondi Beach. Full proper legislation. They went to the council. The people complained. The people
Yeah.
complained about that. I don't get it.
It's the whole thing of freedom again, though. Like, what a lot of people complain about Europe and stuff like that is that they have to pay to go to a beach, or they have to pay for one of those pergolas to sit at the beach, whereas Australia, you can just walk into any beach and swim, you know what I mean? So,
But this was more of a
it's
private
like a
event.
one-off thing.
Yeah,
It's
like-
a one-off thing.
Yeah, it's a one-off thing. It's sort of like, okay, like, again, we're Turkish, okay? When you go to certain parts of Turkey, yeah, like when you go to, say, Çeşme and Izmir, okay, you can get certain chairs on the beach that you pay for because it's actually owned, like, or someone runs that part of the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. No one's going to sit there and complain about it. It's just more like, okay, this guy's making money and they actually own it. These guys are asking for permission to have a party. Okay, whether I'm for it or against it, it's just more along the lines of what they're trying to achieve.
Are other people allowed to come on the beach when they're having their party?
It's ticketed.
Okay.
You buy it. It's like think of it like
Like a festival.
a mini Stereosonic,
Yeah.
a very mini. Say 100 people.
Yep.
They're saying that we're just going to throw. You buy $100 ticket. You come in. You enjoy your time. You see you later.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not they want the whole of Bondi. They're talking about just setting up their own private party there.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with that?
I know.
Is it not money? Look again. Is it not money for the council? Are you? And I get it. They're gonna be. I know the argument for it. It's the type of people that it's trying to bring. Like, you know what I mean? It's not good for the area. The type of people that's gonna attend. Oh, I'm sorry, but you guys have pubs. You guys have clubs. You guys have night parties. What happens on New Year's? What happens when there's all these people getting bashed at McDonald's back in the days? I remember Bondi at its worst as well. Okay, but that's fine. But people who are actually trying to bring money into your council, who are trying to bring fun to your council, which could potentially be something big for people to make more money for their businesses and stuff like that. No, we don't want that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's we're very backward thinking in a way.
Look, and then we talk about like drug abuse and the problems that it poses to, young people. When people have nothing to do, they're going to get on drugs. Let me give you an example, bro. We weren't such a rowdy bunch of kids. Like a Saturday night sometimes for us was picking up our fishing rod and going to the nearest wharf and trying to catch fish. We didn't hurt the fish. We never did anything to the environment. We always picked up our rubbish. We all, left the place as we found it. You know what I mean? But one night we almost got fined, okay, because we didn't have fishing licenses. Bro, we were 18 years old, struggling to, put fuel in our car to be able to come out. This police officer was like, mate, it's the law. You got to have a fishing license. Okay. Would you rather me, like, racking up or doing bongs and, becoming a nuisance to society, jumping on ice, doing, heroin? Like, we're just trying to have a quiet night, chilling out here. But everything is just, it's all just revenue raising. Like, my fishing license, yeah, I like the fact that it sets up artificial reefs and it's looking after the wildlife and blah blah. But bro, don't give me a $200 fine because I don't have a fishing license when I'm just trying to have a quiet night with my friends and I'm 18 years old.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Again, I haven't fished for a while, so I didn't even know you needed a fishing license.
Yeah, most people just leave their rods when the police come and be like, "That's not my rod." Like, I have a fishing license. I'm all for wildlife conservation, like I said. But I take my wife and she fishes like once a year. Why should I pay $30 for her fishing license when she uses it once?
Can you buy it online?
Yeah, you can. You can get it from like petrol stations. You can get it online.
But can you buy it online at the time?
Not if a cop's asked you. But yeah, when you get there, you can. And what they do is they send you like a digital receipt. If a cop asks you, like, yeah, I paid for it, but my card hasn't come in yet.
Okay.
So, but like, she uses it once a year. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like she goes out and she's not one of those people who's putting 40 illegal sized fish in her bucket and destroying the wildlife. She releases half the fish she catches because she feels sorry for them, or I release them because she can't take it off the hook.
How much is it?
I think it's $30 from memory. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Look, it's not a big deal for us now, but as an 18-year-old, that $30 going in my fuel tank was way better than me paying for a fishing license.
Yeah. You're a criminal, mate. You're the reason this Bondi party's not happening.
Yep.
Now, there's, like I said, man, there's so many things that we can do to improve. I think it's just more, if we start to improve, too many people will have fun.
And there'll be too much traffic.
And there'll be too much traffic because people in Bondi, they won't be able to get to the party in Bondi, unfortunately. There's so many... There's so many little factors to this. Like, again, I know most of the stuff that we're saying probably would make a lot more sense. Hold on, my microphone's getting fucked. Would make a lot more sense pre-COVID. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But all of this has been happening for since I've been growing up. You know what I mean? As far back as I can remember. Especially in New South Wales. We have all the stadiums in the world, but we don't do shit with them.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, don't get me started on sports because I hate this state when it comes to sports. Okay, when it comes down to having fun or trying to make events or bringing events or planning for the future, we got none of that shit here.
Mm-hmm.
You could literally build a massive empire here. You're far from anyone. You can literally control the oceanic state. You're a 5-hour flight from Singapore. You want to attract more people here.
You're talking about population there with Singapore, Indonesia.
That's right. And you still have Asian tourists coming in here from China, from Japan, even from England. You got people coming down into this country. The question, and like as sad as what it sounds like, as my voice is becoming, what's left for this country? What's left to do?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's right. And you know what? We have some of the best beaches in the world. And this is not like a whole Australia's crap bashing thing. For me, it's just
Australia's
disappointing
not crap,
that...
it's not utilized.
No, exactly. It's underutilized. It's not... Bro, what makes... Like, let's talk about Bali, right? How many thousands of people go there, millions of people go there to holiday every year. What has Bali got that Gold Coast doesn't? What has Bali...
Drugs and alcohol, cheap.
But cheapness is the main thing, right? People go to Bali because it's cheap. I'm not a drug user, but if I ever went there, it'll be for the cheap food, the cheap drink, the cheap hotels, the cheap, like here, you land in Sydney airport and you're paying $40 for a train.
Yeah.
So it's just overpriced, not utilized, and over-policed, man.
I get it from a labor perspective. Okay, that's the main argument. I get it from a labor cost. We're probably the highest, or one of the highest, if not the highest. Okay, and I get that. But when it comes down to what we're actually stopping, it has nothing to do with labor.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with, okay, if labor costs are too much, again, people, like, I'll give you an example, okay? And again, it's not my crowd. Again, I used to do it in the past. When you go to Stereosonic, for example, back in the days you had Stereosonic. Then you had one person who jumped off a fucking tower, and apparently that everyone else is the same mentality, apparently. And then you had the whole drug brigade. I get that, okay? Fair enough. So why do you stop it? Do you know what I mean? Like they go, we're trying to prevent people from taking drugs. Okay. Do you think stopping DEFCON? Do you think stopping Stereosonic? Do you think stopping Creamfields? Do you think stopping, what else is there? Field Day, whatever you want to call it. Do you think stopping that, people are just going to suddenly go,
all
right, guys, no more drugs, guys. We're just we're gonna open a book and read because that's the only thing that we have left to do. Like, do you know what I mean? People are just gonna go, okay, we're not doing it there. We'll just go do it here.
Else,
yeah, like it's not like you're not stopping the problem. All you're doing is stopping the event, which is causing people from even when we previously went to those events. Okay, how many people did you run into? Was like, I'm from overseas.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're bringing tourism into the country because people are following whether it's their artist or the event itself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Again, I'm gonna go into this because it's my ranting. Sporting. How many, especially from a football perspective, how many countries fight for clubs to come out here because the infrastructure brings it out here? Yeah, we had Chelsea and we had Liverpool come out. Great. Okay. You had America who runs 14-based tournaments and stuff like that. You have, set up your mini tournaments.
Yeah, bring them in on the preseason.
Yeah, bring them in the preseason. Pay that money. People are going to come out. They're gonna come out and watch them. Yeah. You want people to enjoy. People here, they're gonna go out and watch them. It doesn't have to be at ANZ. For some reason, it's like Liverpool FC, ANZ Stadium. Chelsea, ANZ. Do you know what I mean? Put them in Bankwest. Start sending them out. You know what I mean? Spread the love out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Put Bankwest. Not SCG. I'm talking more New South.
Sydney?
Okay. I'm talking New South Wales. Let's go Bankwest and then go Penrith Stadium, where you want your Wanderers to verse AC Milan. Do you know what I mean? Set up a mini-based tournament where your local teams, Sydney FC Wanderers and Macarthur and
all play Milan. You only bring out one team here.
Yeah, or bring out three. Or do you know what I mean? Or bring out 8 teams, and your 3 goes ahead against these 5. They'll love it.
Yeah.
What do you have to lose?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And when you're spreading it, look how much infrastructure and look how much money is going to go out towards Penrith. People get to go see Penrith. Penrith's an amazing lifestyle now, man. That main strip is improved so
Main
much.
Street, yeah.
Where they have, they got the Panthers Club, which looks amazing, by the way. You got the Aqua Golf there. You got the McDonald's, the Krispy Kreme, all the restaurants, and you got the jumping gymnasium, whatever this thing is called. They've improved so much. Get people to go out there and spread the love out there.
Yeah.
And then the city, and then the west, and then send them to Campbellton. Do you know what I mean? We don't think like this.
No, and look, we witnessed this pre-COVID with the Parramatta Eels when they opened up Bankwest, how much busier those restaurants and stuff became.
100%.
So you want to pump money into local businesses, you got to put something for people to go out. I'm not going to leave my house when I have Uber Eats, right, to bring it to my door to eat the food that I'm going to be eating if there's nothing for me to go out there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Do fireworks at the park in Parramatta. I remember going to the fireworks in Darling Harbour. It used to pull a crowd. And you know what? Everyone was sitting down with an ice cream, with some taco, some burger that they bought from the local restaurant that's there. You know what I mean? Do fireworks in Parramatta on a Saturday night. People are going to come out and they're going to spend in your local thing. You put on a sporting event, this is going to be even bigger.
100%. 100%.
We always support your small local businesses. Yeah, give them something to be supported by. Don't tell us to go and spend our money there for no reason.
We're ranting about our country here.
Yeah.
But
do something.
Even better one, smoking. Look, instead of taking the target where we said no eating where you're smoking, that's what they went with, yeah? Why not just make smoking areas?
Because not a lot of the pre-existing cafes and restaurants have these areas available, but
they went bankrupt.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? See what I mean? Like rather than going to these guys, you know what? Our plan for the next 12 months is this. We're going to target smoking areas. We're giving you guys 1 year's notice. Whether it's, some certain restaurants, they go, okay, you know what? We genuinely can't do it. But so give me 1 year to plan for it. No, they went, okay, as of this date, we're doing this. How many places shut down? How many cafes shut down? How many people lost their jobs? How many places did we start driving through? And there was like just close signs on them. And normal places that people were peaking at nighttime. You had cars driving through. I get most places is probably it's all about control, and I understand that. Okay, but don't complain that the people are complaining when you're the one that's implementing this to begin with.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? Some places were willing to eat the fines because of how much money they were raising.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like for me, example, I'm not a fan of smokers. Smoking environments. I'm not a fan of it. Like when it comes to actual like normal cigarettes. Yeah. But it's like, okay, if someone's letting me know in advance, this is a smoking area. So there's people smoking. Yeah, you can still eat. Yeah, you can still drink. You can do whatever you want. But it's just a smoking area. And I go and sit there. I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I made this choice.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guarantee you, I reckon it's easy, 75 to 80% of people, they're going to be like, fair enough.
No, it's because of the Karens, right? So all these restaurants have like, Riverview dining outside. And they're like, we don't want to sit outside while they're smoking. So why should we be punished to not get that view, to not be smoking? It's all the Karens.
So make a booking and ask for inside seating. You're not granted it, then complain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If that restaurant's not accommodating to you, then complain.
Yeah.
Don't
be a Karen.
Don't
fucking be a Karen, cunt.
It's just sad, man. It really is sad. Like the amount of stuff. And again, this is all pre-COVID or hopefully post-COVID. It will be soon. But even then, look, we're arguing about trying to attract tourism, and when there's no tourism coming into the country.
No, not happening for a while. And then when it does happen, they'll be like, close the borders because these English people are coming here.
Well, I'm just wondering what's going to happen because you got the Tokyo Olympics coming up. You got Euros coming up. You got... Actually, Olympics is the massive one because it's a national event. It's in Denmark. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you allow Australians to go to the Olympics and then...
What, as athletes?
What about if you're a family?
Yeah. See, what you do, right? All we're doing now, in my opinion, is a post-quarantine, right? So the guy flies out here. He's already got COVID. He's giving it to everyone in the airport and on the plane. When he gets out, he's on quarantine for 2 weeks, and then he realizes he was sick, and he gets picked up. Why don't they do pre-quarantine?
Because they don't get results quickly.
I know, but say you're an Olympic athlete, right? You're going to go to Tokyo for the Olympics. Quarantine you 2 weeks before you have to go, right? Then fly, then quarantine you when you're there for 2 weeks. I know it's wasting 4 weeks of people's lives, but if you want people to be traveling safely, you can't test them the day before and the disease comes up 2 weeks later and he's already spread it to 1 billion people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is a special case scenario. Not everyone's an athlete, right? You give them a hotel room that has a cycling bike, and they can still do their training or whatever so that they're not out by the time they leave. Or these athletes get to Tokyo early in advance so that they can pick up their, fitness after they get there. But you can't jump on a plane, quarantine for 2 weeks, and then you realize that the person was sick from the moment they left the country anyway.
Yeah. Look, I don't think anything's actually set out in stone of what's going to happen in Japan.
They're going to push it back again.
They're
going to push it back again.
They can't. Because the more you push it back, you got to keep in mind it goes into the Commonwealth Games and also your your that's the word I'm looking for.
Winter. There's the winter.
You got the
and
Winter Olympics, and
yeah.
plus the people that's training for the next Olympics as well.
Yeah.
So we're in 2021. Your next one's 2022. That means it gives people 2 years to fast track for 2024.
Yeah.
2024's Olympics, or unless they just shuffle the year.
They're gonna cancel Japan because it's not a Western country, and they don't give a shit about them. So it's gonna be just like, all right, we're gonna cancel these Olympics and done.
It could be that too. Qatar's 2022. We'll see what I mean. Like you push Euros back as well. You're gonna have Euros and the World Cup all in
At
one
the
year.
same time, I don't even know when international fixtures are on now. I don't know if they're playing like the Euro qualifiers or the World Cup qualifiers, or if they started to qualify for the next Euro after that. Like, what is going on?
It's all over the place. And then you got UK that's in problematic state as well, because you got the Premier League who's saying that they might push it back, and you have all these players testing positive and shit like that.
They
But
should put it back so that Liverpool gets their squad back, really.
Or Timo Werner finds his form.
That ain't
don't
happening.
get me started onto that one, man. We've covered quite a
Extensive range of topics tonight.
mainly about how fucked New South Wales is.
Because we were just being fucking Karens.
We're being Karens, mate.
Yeah.
Nah, it was good catching up, man.
Yeah. Guys, subscribe. Like the video, please. Those thumbs up make us really, really happy. Subscribe. And a massive thank you to the support that we've had. Last week, the week before's video had 140 views, and I only watched it 40 times. So someone's watched it 100 times. Thank you so much. Until next time, Fats.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, we'll be back. Hopefully the government does release him. So hopefully he will be back into the session next week.
Yep.
All right.
Till then.